Welcome to the Psalms Compressed. Today we will look into Psalm 22. That is a profound and deeply moving psalm, one that resonates with human suffering, but also with divine deliverance. And it begins with the cry that might sound very familiar. My God, why have you forsaken me? These are the very words Jesus spoke on the cross, encapsulating the depth of human despair and the feeling of abandonment. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me from the words of my groaning? O my God, I cried out by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but I found no rest. And as I said, these are the same words that Jesus spoke on the cross. And in Mark 15:34, it reads, At 3:00, Jesus shouted out in a powerful voice, Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you abandoned me? In verses 6 to 8 here, it says that David's enemies are mocking him, specifically because he trusts in the Lord and that the Lord would rescue him. In Matthew 27 and in Mark 15, they both say that people are mocking Jesus, claiming that if God loved him so much, then God would save him in that very moment. Matthew and Mark, they share the same verse in the same way, almost word for word. Yet they are doing it with different goals. Matthew stresses throughout his writings that Jesus is the Messiah that was predicted in the Old Testament. Mark, he had a different focus. While he did understand that Jesus was the Son of God, he typically made sure that people understood his humanity as being a part of a rather unique personhood of Jesus. The human part was as important as the God part for Mark. For him, Jesus was fully God and he was fully human. Like many of the Psalms, this psalm is a cry out to God, a very open and honest psalm. And Psalm 22 teaches us several of very good and crucial lessons. It shows us that it is okay to express our pain and our confusion to God. The psalmist doesn't hold back here. He is honest about his suffering. And sometimes in our darkest moments, we may feel that God is distant. But Psalm 22 reminds us that even in those moments of deep anguish, God is still present. The very act of crying out to God is an expression of faith, a recognition that despite our feelings, we believe that He hears our cries. As we move throughout the psalm, we see a shift from despair to hope, and the psalmist begins to recall God's faithfulness in the past, both in his own life and in the life of others. This remembrance led him to a place of renewed trust. By the end of the psalm, what began as a lament transformed into praise. I will declare your name on my people. In the assembly, I will praise you. Psalm 22 is actually not only about suffering. It is about the journey through suffering to redemption. It reflects the journey of Christ himself, from the cross to the resurrection. In our lives, we may face seasons of intense struggles, where we feel abandoned or even alone. But this psalm encourages us to hold on, to remember God's faithfulness, and to trust that He will bring us through it, through all our trials, and into a place of victory and of praise. Psalm 22 is a powerful reminder that God is with us in our suffering, that it is okay also to bring out our honest emotions to Him, and that ultimately He is our deliverer. Like the psalmist here, we can move from despair to hope, from crying out in pain to declaring God's praise and trusting that He always is working for our good, even when we can't see it.